Hello and welcome, beautiful soul. Are you a starseed? Well, I would just like to point out the fact that you clicked on this video is a high probability that there is something special about you, because the average person isn't going to click on a video that's titled 11 Signs You Are a Starseed. In this video, I am going to give some honorable mentions, common, known facts about starseeds, and then I'm going to give you 11 signs that are newer or lesser known, so to see if you identify with them. And if you do, you are a starseed, and Spirit has brought you to this video because it is time for you to awaken to your mission, to your divinity, to who and what you really are. But also, your awakening process is a process. It takes time for your conscious mind to adapt to these new ideas and concepts, as well as your physical body and your vibration adjusting and elevating as you come into these truths and awaken and remember your soul lineage and what you are here to do. So, beautiful starseeds, I'm pretty sure all of you are starseeds that have clicked on this video. I have left you a lot of links in the description box below to help you along your journey. I have left 2 links to readings I have done, if you're a starseed, where you're from, what your mission is, and then also to look at what phase of the moon you were born under, just based on some of the signs in this reading, or this video, I should say. And then I have also left a link for a very beautiful message to the family of light. I highly recommend each and every one of you watch it. By the end, tears will just be pouring out of you because it is so triggering and activating. And in the moment, you might not know why and what all that emotion is about, but just go with it, because it's you awakening from the depth of your soul and remembering, and finally that emptiness, that sadness, that depression, that longing that you've been suffering with begins to be replaced by the light that is coming from the depth of you, out, up, through your crown chakra, creating a beautiful sphere all around you as you just come back to life, to who and what you truly are. So I highly recommend that. I have also left a link to a Starseed astrology website. They gave me astrology natal chart reading about 8 years ago now. Best rating I ever got. Highly recommend them. And then I've also left you guys some interesting links of articles and some other videos that will help trigger you, awaken you, and bring you a lot of information about being a starseed and what that means. So let's get right into it. Are you a starseed? I'm going to give the honorable mentions first, and with these honorable mentions, you should resonate with most of them, if not all. That's a really strong sign, but these are more known, so that's why they're honorable mentions, and I'll just go through them quite quickly. The first one is that you have Rh negative blood. The second one is you don't feel like you fit in here. The third one, an unreasonable longing for home, not knowing exactly what that means. Number 4, a natural resistance and rebellion against the system. Number 5, leader in technology, science, physics, etc. You are very intelligent, very innovative, management material, leader material. You're ahead of your time. Number 6, natural psychic, mediumship, or healing ability. Number 7, leader or heavily involved in causes to uplift humanity, conserve the environment, animal rights, or spiritual evolution. So those are, the more common known traits of a starseed, and you should identify with most, if not all of them. Okay, so let's get into the other signs here, the 11 signs that I have selected for you guys, and I'll go a bit more into detail with these ones, and some of the links I have left below will help you identify if some of these are true for you. So the first one, and you should identify with at least 8 or more of these to confirm you are a starseed. So number 1, your sun or moon was at 26, 27, or 28 degrees in the house it occupies at the time of your birth. So those are markings of star seeds, like coming in through those portals of those degrees, sun sign, moon sign. I know that this also plays out into the other planets, Mars, Venus, Neptune, etc. I'm not as in depth with those, so we're just going to cover the sun and moon in this particular reading. So look at your natal chart. I have left a link for a free copy of your natal chart just for you to look at it to see what degree your sun and moon was at at the time of your birth. Also, the link I left for the website that can give you a Starseed astrology reading will also go, they'll talk much more about that. I have no affiliation with those ladies. They just gave me a very good reading, and so that's why I recommend it for you Starseeds. So if in your natal chart, your sun or your moon is at 26, 27, or 28 degrees, that is a sign for you. And I want to point out, each one of these things by itself doesn't mean anything, but you put them all together, or 8 or more, and that's where you're like, okay, yeah, something's different about me. Number 2, you've experienced sleep paralysis all of your life. Sleep paralysis is a, medical condition, a dysfunction with the chemicals in your brain when you're coming out of sleep. And I believe 100% that is an accurate description of what's going on with the body physically in that process. However, for me personally, sleep paralysis was a deeply spiritual experience. And, most people that it's just a medical thing usually grow out of it by the time they're 25, or they can sleep on their stomach, or if they've had, a lot of disruption in their sleep pattern, a sleep paralysis episode will come on. I'm not talking about that. The sleep paralysis that I'm talking about is when you are in a dead sleep, and somehow in that sleep, you just know that sleep paralysis session is about to come over you. You're asleep and now you're awake, but you can't move, you can't open your eyes, and the experience of that is very different for each and every person. Some of you may just feel as though you are suspended in the air, and there's flashes of electricity going from your head all the way through your body down through the bottoms of your feet. That's an experience. Some of you could see apparition or hear, a spirit speaking to you, or even it may sound disembodied. Some of the apparition could be shadowy. It could be a very scary experience. Others of you, it's a completely harmonious experience where you are surrounded by beings, and you might not understand what's going on. But again, your mind is awake, but your body is frozen, and you cannot move whatsoever. Those are just a couple of these examples, and this has gone on all of your life, from as far back in childhood as you can remember all the way until right now, whatever age you are. And there's multiple reasons why sleep paralysis happens to starseeds. The biggest reason is as a mechanism to help awaken you, because for many people who don't understand the spiritual aspect of sleep paralysis, it's a very scary thing, but that is to encourage you to awaken to your spiritual self, to seek the light, to protect yourself, to guard your energy, and through that process you begin to naturally awaken. Other reasons why is because that is how your galactic family is coming in to communicate with you, to upgrade your chakra system, your physical body, all of those things. And your conscious mind cannot handle that awareness of one-on-one contact and interaction. It's a process to get your conscious mind comfortable and not overstimulated with it. And it might not seem like much, but really for a moment, just consider seeing what you consider an alien right before you, trying to touch you and work on you, or an apparition. Like, your conscious mind can't handle that. It takes conditioning. It takes time. So some of you experience that sleep paralysis because you're working with your galactic family. I highly recommend doing a lot more research if you have suffered the sleep paralysis all your life. I am going to do a different video specifically on sleep paralysis and all the spiritual meaning of it, but starseeds, sleep paralysis is something that each and every one of you experiences to some degree, and there is spiritual purpose in it. So that is number 2. Number 3 is you have a photographic memory. You remember everything, whether you want to or not. And it doesn't mean that you don't forget things sometimes, but you just have this uncanny ability to remember the smallest, detail of anything, of everything. You remember full-on conversations you've had with people where they can't remember. You could remember, 10 years ago, exactly the way somebody wore their hair and their outfit and the accessories and even their makeup. And there was nothing significant about that day or that person. It's just you can call upon memory like that. And some of you are absolutely amazing at memory. It's just like you, bam, 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 you just remember everything. And some of you, there's memories that just constantly resurface throughout your life that you've forgotten about, but then as they resurface for you don't even know why, boom, they're just there. It's like so vivid as if they just happened. So you guys have photographic memories. Like, your minds are quantum computers, the supercomputer, out of this world type of energy you're working with. So keep that in perspective. That is number 3. Number 4 is you have very captivating, deep, and healing eyes. All of your life, people have told you you have beautiful eyes, you have stunning eyes, you have unique eyes, you have healing eyes, you have soft eyes. Your eyes just pull me in. They draw me in. I feel immediately comforted, with your gaze upon me. Also, when you are looking at somebody and you lock eyes with them, it's very hard for them to pull their gaze away from you. There's always been, some of you, your best feature, even if you're a very, beautiful, attractive, everybody notices your eyes. Your eyes are everything. And, they could be really any color. I know there's a talk of blue and green eyes, but for me personally with Starseeds, I've seen all eye colors. But there's always something just a little bit magical, just a little bit special about the eyes of a starseed, and people notice it. So if you have always gotten compliments on your eyes, in all different capacities about beauty and uniqueness and the way they captivate and the way they speak volumes and the way they can cut through somebody, all of those things, there you go. All right, number 5, you have one or more grand trines in your natal chart. Again, you can access that free link for a look at your natal chart to see if you have a grand trine in your chart, and it could be an air, a water, an earth, or a fire grand trine. And what a grand trine is a perfect flow of energy. This is like a shield of protection over you guys this lifetime. And, if you think about things, even if you've been through a lot of heavy stuff, no matter what, you're always okay. There's always an out for you. In the last minute, something happens for you. There is always a saving grace for you along your journey, and that's because of that grand trine. And whether it's in water, air, fire, or earth is the capacity in which you have, extra magic. So look into the grand trines astrologically and, what each one of those means, and then apply that to yourself and your mission with humanity and your purpose for being here. All right. Number 6. A strong sense of not belonging in your body or human form could also be experienced through gender dysphoria. Now, here's an interesting fact that a lot of people don't know. Way back in the day, people who were, gay, lesbian, transsexual were called Uranians. Uranus is the planet of shock, of being here to shake things up, to change things. And, Uranus just moves in very unexpectedly. And it happens that way because Uranus changes things, boom, just like that. So there's something special, about the Uranians. They are on a different vibe. That's how people perceived them. And many of them just happen to be, gay, lesbians, or transsexual. And that doesn't mean you have to be those things to be a starseed, okay? I just want to point that out. Because today that's becoming more and more acceptable, where in the past it was oppressed. Well, why was it oppressed? Because a lot of spirituality comes through individuals, humans who don't operate with the status quo. They're starseeds. They come here to change perceptions, to change systems, to tear down paradigms. And right now, it's the patriarchy. It's got to come down, and the restoration of the divine feminine energy. And it's coming through in so many different ways and colors and shapes and forms. So many starseeds will experience that gender dysphoria and feeling like perhaps they are not the correct gender. It's because of, where they come from and the mission they are here to do, to really shake things up and change things up. And it manifests in many different ways. Now, others of you not feeling as though you belong in your human form doesn't have to be experienced through gender dysphoria. You could just feel like your body doesn't fit your soul properly, and you've never understood that, and you've never heard anybody talk about that. It's because your energy is such a different vibration, and trying to put yourself in this human avatar and really go down several pegs in energy, it's you feel it, you experience it, your soul feels it. All right, so that's what that's about. All right, moving on. Number 7, this is for those of you who are a Taurus or a Scorpio. Taurus and Scorpio have a strong Pleiadian connection, especially those born on May 16th, 17th, 18th, and November 16th, 17th, and 18th. So if you are a Taurus or a Scorpio, and one of those 3 days is your birthday, very high probability of being a starseed, especially a Pleiadian. In fact, anybody born in Taurus and Scorpio season has a strong connection to the Pleiadian collective. All right, moving on to number 8. You sometimes dream in a different language that you do not currently speak nor understand in waking life. So you have these very vivid dreams of speaking another language with other people, and in the dream you understand what's being conveyed to you, but upon waking, even if you remember some of the words expressed, you have no idea what they mean. It's completely foreign to you, and the dialect you might not even be able to place with anything on earth today. That's the language of spirit. You are speaking the language of your home frequency with your galactic family, and that's why you are dreaming in a different language that you have no concept of where it comes from. And speaking in tongues, it's a lot of reason why people speak in tongues. It's the language, it's an energy language with their collective, and the way it is expressed and verbalized through the human form and sound is going to be different for everybody, because it's a language, a frequency that doesn't exist in this plane. And that's why you dream it, and that's why when people speak in tongues, like nobody knows what they're saying. It's because the frequency of that language, it exists on a wavelength that just cannot be on the earth plane at this time. And so it's going to come through your dream time. It's going to come through your meditation or when you're channeling. So that's what that's about. All right, number 9, starseed terminology, a science fiction, astrology, etc. randomly showed up in your life and won't leave. You could have been like, I am not interested in any of this, but everywhere you turn, there it is, there it is. And then you finally start watching, somehow you get sucked in, and then you're like, oh my goodness, I am so hooked, this is so good. Or That could have been just from day one, what you were interested in right from the start, okay? Either way, astrology, science fiction, aliens, all that stuff, starseed terminology is going to just start bombarding you when it's time for you to awaken. And I do highly recommend watching Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica, Firefly, the Avengers, all of that stuff, not to create some fantasy belief system in your head, but there is so many triggers in all of those different types of shows, all of that science fiction stuff. There are so many triggers to be found. The Matrix, I know that's not science fiction-y really, but that's another good series of movies to watch. It's very triggering, and that's what you're after, is being triggered to awaken you, to awaken your ancient eyes. So, anything science fiction, jump in for the trigger factor of it. And the reason why it showed up is because it's time for you to awaken. And, those of you that it's been with you for many, many years of your life, you've been receiving those triggers, those activations, and it just feels, familiar in a way, and you're drawn into it. I can personally tell you, I was not about any of that stuff, and it did show up for me too, and I resisted it, and then I finally watched Star Trek, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. And I didn't realize it at the time, so there you go. All right, number 10. High probability of being born into a dysfunctional, oppressive, or abusive family. Could also have been born into a very religious family, as you obviously were the black sheep. You just didn't feel like the religion that was being put upon you was right in any capacity. If you were born in dysfunction, oppressive, situation, abusive, it's because you are here to transmute that bloodline. You're doing a lot of work with humanity and light codes, but you're also transmuting bloodlines. And the line in which you were born into, there's royalty, there's a lineage back to Atlantis, okay? However, there's been a lot of corruption, through the ages to that particular bloodline, and that's the reason why you incarnated through that particular bloodline, because of the magic and the ability that you'll be able to access with the physical avatar, but also the restoration of that bloodline through you and your vibration, and you raising that vibration, which ultimately impacts all the family members that you were born into, whether it's life-changing for you and them, this journey, or it's all just done at a cellular and soul level, and that's where the work is at. Either way, it's not for nothing, and you have a very strong galactic team that will always be there to help restore you, help you bounce back, help you heal and overcome any challenge, situation, abuse, trauma that you go through. They will help you heal and bounce back from that, because part of being a ground crew, which is what you are as a starseed being on the earth plane at this time, to understand what's wrong, where the dysfunction is, you have to live it, you have to experience to see it, therefore to know the solution, to add the proper energy tweaks here and there. It's a process, and that's what you're here to do. And that's why many of you were born into these certain bloodlines, is to transmute that energy and help restore the purity and magic to that bloodline that goes back to Atlantis. And I didn't mention that with the sci-fi and the astrology. If you've been very drawn into Atlantis, Lemuria, Mu, or even the megalithic structures that exist all over the world, Egypt as well, Sumer, all of that, there you go. That's another sign, because a lot of the information surrounding that, Egypt and Sumer has a lot to do with what's going on today, and the quote unquote dark t-shirts that are in the, who are ruling the plane at this time. If you really dig into, Sumer and Egypt, you will come into a wealth of information. I will also be doing a reading about which Atlantean bloodline were you born from, what's the lineage of that. I'm doing a lot of research for you guys on that, so I can give you good information to help trigger you and activate you, but also help you remember the wisdom that exists within you to bring forth to humanity, awaken you to that beautiful golden wisdom, that those crystalline life frequencies, so that you can project them out to humanity. So those of you that were born into these really hard families and you're like, if I'm special, why was this done to me? It wasn't done to you. You are such a powerful being that you're here to change that, to transmute that. All right, number 11. You were born during a lunar or solar eclipse. I mean, right there, that speaks for itself. You are definitely here to change things up, all right? To change the game, to change the system, to rewrite the coding from within the system itself, to tear down old paradigms and restore, you know, the balance within the earth plane. And, you know, I do highly recommend, if you have gotten this far and you're like, oh my gosh, I resonate with so many of the honorable mentions as well as these 11 signs, I do recommend that you get your natal chart read by the link that I have left. And I only say this because, you know, some of what their belief systems are a little out there for me, but I judge nobody. I had my chart read by them 8 years ago when I was, you know, just in the process of awakening, and all they knew about me was my birth date, my birth information, and I got the best reading of my life. And she told me that I was not part of, you know, the Starseed ground crew. She actually told me, I'm connected to the goddess energy and I'm here to assist the Starseeds with their awakening process, but I'm also here to help restore the balance of the divine feminine energy. And if you met me in person, I am the epitome of femininity. I even birthed 3 girls, and I said Spirit knew what was going on, because I would not have known how to teach a boy to be a man. I wouldn't have, and I would have been a huge disservice to my son, because I am just filled with so much feminine energy, even to the point it gets on my own nerves sometimes. But they helped me with that, and they actually told me what I'm doing right now today, I would be doing. I didn't believe it back then, but she called it. And just my personality, my life journey, what I had been through, what I was born into, the different placement of my planets at the time of my birth, she just nailed it across the board. And that was my personal experience, and I know everybody's experiences are going to be different. So if you truly have resonated with this video and you really want to get further clarity about your starseed astrology, I do recommend that particular link with those ladies, because of how accurate it was for me personally. Again, I do not know them. My only interaction with them was that personal reading. So anyways, those are the 11 signs that you are a starseed. And again, if you've made it this far, you are a starseed. Check out that reading that I did, you know, where are you from and why are you here? Also, what phase of the moon you were born under, to see about those eclipses. And then that message to the family of light that was made by a different creator, put out many, many years ago. But the message is so beautiful and so activating and triggering, and just so much truth within it. Oh my goodness, like, I listened to it again before recording this, just to get in those vibes, and I was like, oh, I remember the days. And when I first listened to this video, it just brought me to life, and it will bring you to life, and you are awakening. And now is the time for you to wake up, dear starseed, and, you know, come into your mission, so that you understand and you no longer feel so overstimulated and alone and sad, and, you know, all that heaviness that comes from being in the darkness. It's time for you to awaken to the light and the divinity in which you are. So I hope that you have enjoyed this video, and I am sending all of you lots of love and light along your awakening journey. Take care.